I have never advocated for polygamy. I have never. Recently, the veteran Nollywood actor RMD Richard Mofe-Damijo sat down for an interview on Curiosity Made Me Ask. And one of the questions thrown at him was, "Are you married to one wife?" His answer was yes. But something caught my attention when he was asked, "Do you think it is fair for a man to marry one wife?" Surprisingly, he said it's not fair for a man to marry one wife. And the first thing that came into my mind was, how can Richard be giving us this answer? He's married to one wife. And many people are looking up to him. We have the young ones that look up to him. You are married to one wife, and you are saying it is unfair for a man to marry only one wife. This means that Richard Mofe-Damijo, in that his response, is encouraging the young ones to marry more than one wife if they can. Well, he went on to explain that his father married 5 wives and had 17 children, although he sometimes wishes to follow those steps. He said that convincing his wife has not been easy. Now, this response brings up a lot of interesting conversations. Let's break them down together. Comment, like, and share. Let's look at his response from these point of views. Tradition versus modern reality. In African societies, polygamy, especially during the olden days, was something conversant. A man's wealth, how manly and masculinity of a man was measured by how many wives and children he had and wives he could control. RMD's father lived in such a time, and that was what shaped his mindset too. So the young ones out there that have listened to RMD, he's your role model, and you think, hey, he has said it. If I can do it, let me go and do it. Things have changed though. Nowadays, marriage has become more about love, partnership, and mutual agreements. More women now have a say in their homes, and many men choose to stay with one wife. Not because tradition says so, but because it works for their relationship. You can see women so bright it too much. Imagine my own wahala, then you gotta bring one more or bring 2 more. It's not everybody that have the grace of a Ned. You know Ned I'm talking about. Not everybody have that grace. Now, the second view is personal desire and marital agreement. RMD's honesty reflects a truth many don't admit. Personal desires sometimes clash with relationship agreements. Like what we saw with you. He had that desire for a second marriage. So while RMD might wish for more than one wife, he acknowledges that it is tough convincing his wife. So if you want to go into polygamy, it is very important that you work with your first wife. Try to convince her, because there's always problems when you go into another marriage without convincing the woman that is already living in the house with you. This shows that in convincing your wife to agree with you, that both voices matter. You don't just ignore that woman you have married and do your thing as if she doesn't matter. Going forward, I want to ask a question. Should culture justify this unfair feeling that RMD has? And this is a big question. Should a man feel it is unfair to marry one wife because culture says so? Or should modern values that promote monogamy, fairness, and equality in marriage take the lead? What do you think? By asking this question, I'm only saying, do you think it is fair that people practice monogamy, fairness, and equality in marriage? It is a conversation every generation faces, traditional versus the modern way. Another question I want to ask is, what do you think about RMD's response? Do you agree with RMD that it's unfair for a man to marry only one wife? Or do you believe that one man, one wife is the best way to build a healthy relationship in today's world? Let's hear your thoughts. But for me, I have never advocated for polygamy. I have never.